18-year-old Nolan Wells disappeared after spending the 4th of July weekend on Horn Island in Mississippi with friends. After an extensive search, a body believed to be Nolan's was recovered. Authorities say that the investigation remains active. They have not announced evidence of foul play, and they're still working to determine exactly what happened. His family, represented by, of course, attorney Ben Crump, is calling for a thorough and transparent investigation. Normally, that's where the story would begin, but almost immediately people started mentioning two other names that kind of had a similar ending. Back in 2013, 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found dead inside of a rolled up wrestling mat at his Georgia school. We were actually reported about this story on BroTalk. Investigators ruled his death an accident caused by positional asphyxia. His family never accepted that conclusion, and for more than a decade, they've continued pushing for additional investigations, arguing that Kendrick was killed and that key questions still remained unanswered. Although officials have repeatedly upheld that accidental death ruling and no homicide charges have been filed, the case remains one of the most discussed and debated deaths in Black America. For many people, Kendrick Johnson became a symbol of a family feeling like they never received the answers that they deserved. Then there was Tamla Horsford. In 2018, Horsford attended an overnight birthday gathering with a group of mostly white friends in Georgia. The next morning, she was found dead in the backyard. Investigators concluded that she accidentally fell from a deck, and the case was officially closed. But her family and many members of the public still question aspects of that investigation, citing inconsistencies they believed warranted further scrutiny. No criminal charges, again, were ever filed. Even today, many people continue debating whether the investigation answered any questions. And then we have today, fast forward to today, a young Black man disappears after spending time with his white friends. He's later found dead. Authorities say there's no current evidence of foul play and that the investigation again remains active. His family is asking for transparency as investigators continue their work. Yet before investigators had even completed their work, thousands of people had already begun connecting this story to the others. And not necessarily because they believed that the facts were identical, but they recognized a familiar feeling. Now, is that reaction unfair or is it understandable? Can generations of controversial cases change the way a community processes new tragedies? And, can lived experience create healthy skepticism without turning suspicion into certainty? What was your reaction to the story of Nolan Wells and the attention that it is getting this time?
What'd you say?
This time around. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I have family in Mississippi, so I saw this and I was like, "That's crazy," because that could be any of my relatives. My very first thought was, I know how media plays in these type of situations, and I know that seeing this picture of this Black boy and these three white boys, you immediately say "Oh wait, they did something happened here." But I know with media that this picture could have been a year ago. So at first I'm just like, okay, let's just wait for the facts to come out because I don't know, something just doesn't seem right to me. Then I started seeing a lot of people who don't look like me post about this, and they're like, "We got to wait till the facts come out. He was with a girl, and that's why he decided to stay behind." And there's no reason to think of a foul play. And when you start seeing things like that, then it starts to make your mind wonder. And to be honest with you, if three Black boys took a white boy out on the boat and they came back with his phone and not him, and then the next day or so he showed up dead, these boys would be in handcuffs and they would be being questioned. And that's not happening in this situation. And I hate to be this person, and I don't want to necessarily combine these stories together, but this is very reminiscent, low key, of the Carmelo Anthony story. We have this thing in America, and I think even Black people have it too, where we identify Black people as violent. We do that. We say you did a violent thing. But realistically speaking, Black people aren't the only people that are violent. White people are violent too. And in that Carmelo Anthony situation, he said that he felt threatened. Now, in this same Nolan Wells situation, if one of those boys got killed by him while he was trying to protect himself, he would be the one in jail. But yet this boy is dead, and we're coming up with speculations as to what might have happened. And that, to me, is absolute BS. I feel like these people should be at least held, hold them. And they keep talking about this girl that he's talking to. Who's the girl? Like, why hasn't she been identified? Like, and then you're saying that they were on a public boat. They were in a boat on a public island, and nobody saw anything. Like, it just is
Well,
very.
there was arguments, and they are investigating
I've
that.
seen those. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
the videos and stuff of that. But like, why are the boys not telling that though? You
And
came home.
all the boys picked up lawyers.
Yeah, but you came home and you gave the boy's mom his phone and just like whatever. And another last point I have about this is that it's kind of odd to me how these situations happen and then there's a photo that surfaces, and low key I feel like that's intentional. I think that this group photo that they take, like with this one and the Tamla story, that stuff is intentional. I don't think that they're doing this accidental. I think this was premeditated, and I think they meant to kill him.
Wow. So you think this photo is intentional? Just on your
Yes, like because like how is it like we go out or whatever and they seem to be have those smiles on their faces or whatever, but yet one of us come back dead, and the rest of us have no idea what happened. Like, come on.
Eric, what was your first reaction when you heard this story?
Don't y'all see the pattern? White people, alcohol equals death. Stop hanging around white people and doing dumb shit at islands and crazy stuff like that. Stick to your own.
But I don't think it's fair to blame alcohol in this situation, though. I think that these people came like they. I don't think something happened because they were drunk. I think something happened because they had bad intentions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ty, is it fair for people to jump to these conclusions, or I mean, innocent until proven guilty, right? But it doesn't seem like anybody's kind of waiting before they kind of put two and two together in this situation. Is that fair, Foul?
I mean, it would be ridiculous to tell the internet and people to see a story and say, well, we'll just gently wait for the facts to come out. People are going to begin to speculate based on their lived experiences, what they believed happened in this case. And I think that to tell people not to do that is absurd, because it's never going to happen. In every single case that has ever hit the news, everyone has speculated what they believed happened in those situations based on the things that they're told. A lot of us are told, make sure you have some other people with you. There's things that we're raised on that this situation would cause us to raise some red flags. It would, and that's based on our experiences as a culture, based on the things that we're taught, based on how we're raised. We see that and we're going to speculate because that's what we were taught would happen to us if we put ourselves in certain situations. And so what I need for people to do is to, and yeah, so you can overcome and wait for facts and try to get above kind of how you were taught to kind of think more intellectually about situations. But it would be absurd for us to tell people, oh, you got to wait for all the facts to come out, don't jump to conclusions. That's what people are going to do. However, there are people whose job it is to thoroughly investigate what happened. There are people whose job it is to make sure they understand what's going on. I'm glad that the family has lawyered up as they should, and we hopefully will have a very transparent investigation, because that is their job. The internet has the right to speculate, and they're going to do that. But there are people whose job it is to make sure that this investigation happens thoroughly and transparently, and I hope that gets done. Because for people who have the lived experiences that we do, this feels very odd for us and very concerning for us, and we would like to know what happens.
I do agree with what you said. I think the part that's scary, though, is that you said that there are people whose job it is to investigate this. And one of the first interviews I saw was from the sheriff, who said that Nolan decided to stay behind. That was a sheriff that said that. And the only way you would know that information is if these boys told you that and you ran with it. So you're not investigating the situation. So already there's cracks and flaws within this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel for all three of these families. But back in 2013, like you said, people were supposed to be investigating. Like, they've never come out and said the young boy that died in 2013, he didn't roll himself up in the wrestling mat. Nobody can even give us no answer for that. Like, he didn't roll himself up in a wrestling mat. Like,
you also said accidental. So who caused the accident?
Right. He rolled himself up in the wrestling mat.
Right. Yeah.
Like that.
Never
That
got an answer for that.
we never got a clear answer.
So
None of that.
there have been a lot of things that have been road accidental deaths that have caused us a lot of concern. People who are saying hung themselves from trees, who've done, like, we're like, no. And so the bottom line is that the community is going to raise the red flags every time something like this feels bad for us, and we have every right to do so. I do hope that the investigation is thorough and done properly and done with transparency, and that they have actual answers for the family, because I can't imagine going through something like this. You know, you're so excited about the life that your kid is going to experience and live, all for it to come to an end like this, and that's a devastating thing, and I really, really feel for this family. But the internet's going
and potentially of their friends at that too.
Yeah.
It's one thing for something to happen like in a neighborhood or something like that, which is also terrible. But like, these are trusted individuals. This is someone you trusted, and you as a family like trusted your child with these people as well. And I think that for me, like, is also like more bothersome than anything. Like, these are your friends that you wouldn't expect things like that to happen. You wouldn't expect something like this to happen hanging out with your friends. And also, I think it's really like not therapeutic. I think it's really like it's interesting that this happened on the 4th of July. Like, we're supposed to be celebrating 250 years of America, and this is what we're dealing with in this country.
Yep.
Still.
Sad. Well, we do absolutely, wish the family the best, and we hope that there is a justice-filled resolution when it comes to this, and it's something that doesn't take 20 years for us to get to the bottom of. A lot of times these things stall out, and then they just get closed in the shadows, right? So let's just hope that I'm sure Ben Crump won't let it go. They have Ben Crump.
They'll get some money. We know that.
They'll get something. But
Can I just say something though?
Yeah.
Like, there's this thing that somebody said: the best way to keep a secret is to kill the other people, or whatever that saying goes. There's 3 people here. All 3 of y'all didn't do whatever happened in the situation, and I can guarantee you, 1 or 2 of them are going to start singing very soon. Like, this case is way too high, and I don't think they have the protection that like they may think that they have. And I can guarantee you, like, 1 of them will dime the other ones out, and I hope they do.
All right. Well,
if that's the case, because it hasn't come out the day
allegedly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, allegedly. You're right.
And if there are speculations of falling and such.
And if such a thing happens, of course, we will bring you the latest updates here on BroTalk Live.